Good morning everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Chico and today we're going to talk about temporary arrival travel restrictions. But disclaimer, you might be hearing some vehicle noises in the background because I just finished my morning routine, so I'm actually filming this in an open field, so please bear with me. As I've said, today we're going to talk about temporary arrival travel restrictions. So when you say temporary, it means lasting for only a limited period of time and it's not permanent. So we have to understand that these travel restrictions were brought to us by this pandemic, the COVID-19. So one of the most unfortunate, if not necessary, consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic is the imposition of travel bans by the Philippine government or other governments in the whole world in order to protect their people and their territories. And Philippines is no exception to this. So our Philippine government moved swiftly to craft rules restricting the entry of foreign nationals to control the spread of the virus. The regulations impose a general ban on the entry of foreign nationals or non-Filipinos, even those who hold valid visas or hold visa-free privileges. Said regulations also suspended the issuance of new visas. But as of November 1, 2020, the Philippine government has issued a temporary arrival travel restrictions. So we are going to talk about it today. All of the information that I am going to present to you in this video is brought to us by Bureau of Immigration, and I'm going to flash everything on the screen so you would be able to understand. So let's start with persons who are allowed to enter the Philippines other than Filipino citizens. So this is from Bureau of Immigration, Department of Justice. You see the seal over there. So it says temporary arrival travel restrictions effective 1st of November 2020 in compliance with the directives from Malacanang as recommended by the Iatf EID. So the following shall be allowed to enter the Philippines: Filipinos, okay, so OFW and non-OFW. The Philippine government have been receiving Filipinos already for quite some time now, so it should not be a problem. So next is foreign spouse and minor children of Filipinos. Next is children with special needs regardless of age of Filipinos. Next is a foreign parent of minor Filipinos. Next is a foreign parent of Filipino children with special needs regardless of age. Next on the list, accredited foreign government and international organization officials and their dependents. Next on the list, foreign airline crew members and foreign seafarers with 9C visa. So please note that foreign spouse and minor children of Filipinos, children with special needs of Filipinos, foreign parent of minor Filipinos, foreign parent of Filipino children with special needs, accredited foreign government and international organization officials and their dependents, and foreign seafarers with 9C visa has to comply with the 4 IATF conditions, while those foreign nationals without an existing valid visa, including those who previously enjoyed visa-free privileges, because we have some foreign nationals who are actually enjoying entry to the country without visa requirements, so must apply for an entry at the nearest Philippine service post. So when you say 9C visa, it means seaman's visa, so please note that. All right, and also these foreign nationals are allowed to enter the Philippines. Foreign nationals with the following visas: Section 13 Series of Commonwealth Act number 613 as amended, 13 quota, 13A, 13B, 13C, 13D, 13E, 13G visas. So second is RA 17919 visa. Third is EO 324 visa. Fourth, native born visa. Fifth, temporary resident visa relative to Section 13 of CA 613 as amended. based on Memorandum Order MO number AD-01-038, number ADD-01-038, and ADD-02-015. Number 6, MCL-07-021, permanent resident visa based on Section 13A of CA 613 under MO number MCL-07021. Number 7, EO 226 visa, number 847A2 visa. Foreign nationals with visas issued by the following economic zones are also allowed to enter the Philippines. Number 1 is Aurora Pacific Economic Zone, or APECO, and number 2 is Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority, or SBMA. Everyone should comply as well with the 4 IATF conditions, which we are going to talk about later in this video. So let's talk about the requirements for arriving foreigners. So this is very important because we have so many friends from, especially from United States, who are actually asking me this kind of questions. Are foreign nationals or foreign spouse allowed to enter the Philippines already? What are the requirements and all that? So this is to answer your question according to Bureau of Immigration. Okay, so number 1 is you must have a valid and existing visa at the time of entry. And number 2, you must pre-book with accredited quarantine facility. So at the description box down below, I'll be posting the link of the accredited quarantine facility or the hotel facility. So there are actually different prices suitable for your budget, so you can actually choose there. Number 3 is with pre-book COVID-19 testing provider. So I'll be flashing on the screens those testing providers with their price packages. Okay, and then number 4th requirement for arriving foreigners: subject to the maximum capacity of inbound passengers as set by the National Task Force for COVID-19. So basically this means only that it really depends on the Philippine government how many passengers are they gonna allow to enter Philippines. So this is the meaning of this 4th requirement for arriving foreigners. And for more inquiries, there is also numbers that you may contact, and then there is also website that you can visit and some email addresses that you can send your queries to. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the IATF guidelines. So as I am talking about this, I'll be flashing everything on the screen as well, so we can read this together. Okay, so this is the Department Memorandum number 2020-0200 from the Republic of the Philippines Department of Health Office Secretary. So this is what it looks like. It has a certified true copy stamped on May 6, 2020. But let's just scroll down at the bottom. Okay, here it is. So we are going to read this general guidelines. All right, so general guidelines. Letter A, repatriated overseas Filipinos shall include OFWs, whether documented or undocumented. So that's very clear, huh? Also undocumented OFWs. Non-OFWs such as returning students, scholars, exchange visitors, diplomats, and tourists, among others, and their dependents. Because many people are actually asking me, what about those dependents of OFWs? So they are also considered as OFWs. So whatever benefits these OFWs are getting, like free swab tests, free quarantine facilities, and all that, the dependents also get it. Okay, so letter B, all overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals arriving at an airport shall undergo quarantine and testing procedures. So there shall be no exception. If you are a Filipino citizen or if you are a foreign national, you will be subject for quarantine and testing procedures. Letter C, all overseas Filipinos arriving at a seaport via vessels used as conveyance or transport vehicles shall undergo quarantine and testing procedures. All overseas Filipinos arriving at a seaport via vessels used as quarantine facilities shall undergo quarantine and testing procedures. Letter E, the interpretation and decision flow of all COVID-19 test results, whether RT-PCR or rapid antibody test, shall follow the algorithm illustrated in Annex D. So maybe we shall look for Annex A, D, or C, but we shall do that on the next video, okay? Letter F, stringent quarantine shall refer to quarantine protocols imposed upon following: sea-based overseas Filipinos coming from a ship or vessel classified as high risk by the DOH, Bureau of Quarantine Repatriation Core Group, based on the presence of any or a combination of the following conditions: ship or vessel with reported confirmed COVID-19 case, ship or vessel with reported crew or passengers showing influenza-like signs and symptoms prior to departure and or during voyage, and incomplete submission of pre-arrival evaluation documentary requirements such as latest maritime declaration of health, accomplished repatriation information sheets 1 and 2, among others. So number 2, land-based overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals who are coming from a high-risk place of origin or layover identified as areas with a high level of commonly transmission according to the latest issuance of the WHO COVID-19 situation report, and any individual overseas Filipino or foreign national who has been assessed to have influenza-like signs and symptoms by a QMO upon arrival at a port of entry. So all overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals classified for stringent quarantine shall be under the supervision of the Bureau of Quarantine for the duration of the quarantine period. And letter G, mandatory quarantine shall refer to quarantine protocols imposed upon all other overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals who are not classified for stringent quarantine. All overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals classified for mandatory quarantine shall be under the supervision of the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWWA, and Philippine Coast Guard. So let's move on to the specific guidelines. So all overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals arriving at an airport shall be subject to the following procedures. All sea-based overseas Filipinos arriving at an airport shall be subject to pre-arrival evaluation for risk assessment of the vessel of origin by the DOH BOQ Repatriation Core Group, and upon arrival, individual thermal scanning and medical assessment by quarantine medical officer, which shall be the basis for classifying overseas Filipinos as either for stringent quarantine or for mandatory quarantine. So if you've seen my video of my arrival in the Philippines, you will be seeing there basically what is the process when you arrive in the Philippines. So in this video, you're going to see the step-by-step guide from the arrival to the scanning of the QR code. That's why it's very important that you register 3 days before your designated flight to E-CIF of Red Cross. So 3 days before your designated flight, you have to register, because especially the Red Cross, they are going to give you this QR code, which you are going to give to the Philippine Coast Guard. They are going to scan it. They are going to give you as well 6 barcodes, and you're going to proceed to the Philippine Red Cross booth for your swab test. Okay. Number 2, all land-based overseas Filipinos, example, returning OFWs, returning students, exchange visitors, tourists, and foreign nationals arriving at an airport shall be subject to evaluation upon arrival for cohort risk assessment based on the latest issuance of the World Health Organization COVID-19 situation report, and individual thermal scanning and medical assessment by a QMO, which shall be the basis for classifying overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals as either for stringent quarantine or for mandatory quarantine. Number 3, all overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals classified for stringent quarantine shall undergo the following. Letter A, all overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals for stringent quarantine shall undergo RT-PCR COVID-19 testing conducted by DOH licensed COVID-19 testing laboratory. at the port of entry or designated quarantine facility. All overseas Filipinos and foreign nationals shall stay in a Bureau of Quarantine approved stringent quarantine facility until the RT-PCR COVID-19 test results are released, provided that the foreign nationals who are holders of 9E visas and their dependents may be allowed to stay in BOQ approved hotel quarantine facility of their own choice and their own expense. So all non-OFWs basically and foreign nationals has to pay for their swab test and their quarantine facility. So only overseas Filipino workers are free of these services. So I guess guys, this is a little bit too long, so I'm just gonna put the link of this Iatf Guidelines at the description box down below, so if you have time and if you're interested, you can actually read it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, let's scroll that. This is a lot. Again, this is a certified true copy signed by Corazon S. de la Cruz, KMITS Records Section, Department of Health. Okay, so there are a lot of very important information here, so if you have time, you can actually scan this or you can actually read this. So there you go guys, I hope this video helped you one way or the other. So I will be posting all the links of the necessary information that we talked about in this video. If you have any other questions, please type those at the comments box section and I will try my very best to answer all of your questions. So please like and share this video so we may help others looking for the same information. So I will see you guys in the next video. Spread love and not hate, everyone. Love one another and stay safe. Bye.